Hello everyone, welcome back to Piedra Designs. This week what I've got mounted up is a piece of a juniper root. Inspiration for this for me came from Phil Anderson of Shady Acres Woodshop, and I'll try to remember to leave a link up in the corner over there. Anyway, I'm going to just try to make a simple little, key dish or something out of this. I've just got it mounted up between centers right now, and what I'm going to try to do first is get a couple of flat spots here on the outside where this will set. Right now, the way it sets, with this being the bottom, it's touching here and this little root growing out here and then over here. So I'm going to try to flatten those off a little bit so we've got a little better base for this thing to set, and then we'll try to get a tenon turned in here. Because the shape of that thing and how out of balance that is, only going to be able to start turning at about 350 RPM. because of the shape of this thing and how much air we're turning, we'll hit some wood here and then air all the way around back to here. It's causing a super lot of bounce with the tool, and it's really hard to get a smooth cut through here. And because I don't like how I have it mounted, I think I'm going to call that good for now. I'm going to try to get a tenon in here so that we can get this thing turned around and get it mounted a little more securely. With this being the bottom of the piece, not real worried about having this bottom super smooth. I would like it to be a little smoother than that, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to get that with as much air as we're turning. I do need to sharpen up again. Being a piece of root, there is a lot of dirt in this thing, and it's just taking the edge away from this tool pretty rapidly. So I'll be back in a minute after I get sharpened up. Think I'm gonna call that good. I've got a little bit of a concave in here. I may try to get a little bit more of this waste right here out, but then we're gonna try to do a little bit of sanding on this and then see if we can't get it mounted up in the chuck. Most of the sanding I'm going to do on the bottom of this and on these sides is going to be done with the Sandiflex. As I said, I can't get a really smooth flat on here just because of how little wood we're actually turning and the slow speed we have to go at. And so with the sanding, I'm not going to worry about trying to smooth that out. That will take forever, but we're going to try to see if we can't get it looking a little better. As you can see, I did not turn any of the ends of this. Number one, same reason, out of balance, slow turning speed, and turning air mostly. So we're just gonna kind of smooth this up a little bit with the Sandiflex and leave that natural, or as natural as the Sawzall marks made it. Anyway, that's gonna be what that'll look like for a while. Not gonna bore you with all of that. This is gonna take a little while to get that all done, but we'll come back once we have it ready to put some sort of finish on the bottom of this. Okay, we got that sanded up with the Sandiflex. That is just 180 grit that I have on that. On the bottom, I did go ahead and use my 2-inch disc sander and got rid of a little bit of those ripples. There's still some overall, but we flattened out the minor ridges. So what we're going to put on this thing is just a little Howard feed and wax, little cup here with the brush. Right now, I'm only going to worry about doing the bottom of this thing because you guys probably can't see it very good from either camera angle, but because of all of this stuff up here, I'm still going to have a bunch of sanding to do. So I'm not going to worry about getting up the sides of this with the finish right now. Just going to get what's going to be the hardest to reach once it is turned around. We'll put a good coat of this stuff on, let it set up for 20 minutes or a half hour, soak in, and when we come back, we should have this mounted up in the chuck if this tenon I have on here is good enough. So we'll see in a little bit. Okay, so we got this flipped around and in the chuck. Now I think you can see from one of these camera angles this big projection that's still up here. I want to leave that on there, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to because of trying to get inside to do any hollowing out in here. I may have to take that down some just to give me some room to get in here with the gouges to be able to get anything other than a dollar size hollow out of there. The other option I have, which I haven't even used yet since I received it, I got it as a Christmas gift this year, is this hollowing tool. And so I may be able to use that to reach around this projection and get that hollowed out a little bit more. But I don't know how good, I mean, it's carbide, so it should work, but I haven't used carbide with Juniper, and as brittle as that is, I don't know if we're going to get anything. But we're going to give it a try with the bull gouge first and see what we can get. And then maybe we'll have to go to this carbide hollower to be able to reach back around from this projection. And we're still only able to turn at 350 RPM because of how out of balance this piece is. So this is probably going to be some rough going. All right, I'm going to call that good, and we're going to go to sanding. Most of this, just again because of our projections here, is probably going to have to be done. I can use the disc sander on the inside here, but I might have to do it while this is stationary. I can't be getting the drill in there trying to get that with this projection out here. And then the rest of this flats and these projections I'll get with the Sandiflex. Okay, so we got that sanded up now. We did have this one piece that felt loose in here, so I went ahead and just pulled that out. We sanded over that. Now, as near as I can tell, we don't have anything else that feels loose. So we're ready to go about putting on our Howard feed and wax. And again, once we have this on, let it soak in and set up for 20 minutes or a half hour. Then we'll buff it out. And then what may prove to be the toughest job of all is getting that tenon removed off of the bottom. Or at the very least, I've got to get it taken down a little bit, because right now it projects a little bit farther than our base does, so it makes it want to wobble instead of sit flat. So anyways, I'm gonna keep at putting this Howard feed and wax on here, and we'll see you guys back when we're ready to try to do something about that tenon. All right, we got the Howard feed and wax put on the inside of that. We got it turned back around. I got to try to get this tenon off. I'm not sure exactly how good this Phil Anderson method is going to work, as out of balance as this piece is, but we're going to give it a shot. That's all my nerves can handle with this Juniper. And as out of balance and heavy as this piece still is, I don't think I'm going to try to finish that on the lathe. I'll just take this over, chisel the last of that little nub off. We'll get the bottom sanded up and signed, and then we'll come back and talk about this thing. All right, we've got it done now. This is our Phil Anderson inspired key dish, artwork, whatever you want to call it. It measures about 10.5 inches long. Across this wide face, it's about 6.5 inches. Here at the highest point, it's 5 inches tall, and down here at the thin edge, it is 1.5 inches thick. I'm really happy with how this came out for a piece of root, and I'm really glad I left this projection on the top of it here and didn't cut that off. It was a little nerve-wracking while I was turning, having to really be sure and watch my hands and where the shank of the tool was at so that we didn't hit anything and break that off or cause injuries. I'm glad I went with the Howard Feed and Wax. As Phil would say, gosh, it's just so smooth. Anyways, that's the project for this week. If you like the video, please be sure and give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, leave me a comment. I respond to everything. From Piedra Designs. Thanks for watching.